I have been dealing with hyperhidrosis since 20 years and I am only 26. While most people grow up thinking about fitting in or grades, I grew up thinking about how to hide my hands because they were always dripping. Not just my hands, even my feet, my underarms, and everything. It got to a point where my whole personality was built around avoiding situations where someone might notice. I used to cancel every plan. Friends would call me out for hangouts, I would cancel. Family gatherings, I always skipped them, and even dates were straight no because I was terrified of holding hands or even just sitting close to someone. And whenever I was forced to go out, it felt like a mission. I never thought about people around me. I never thought about having fun. What I thought about was the constant fear of someone might notice and will judge me for it. It completely destroyed my confidence. I couldn't stay present. I couldn't look people in the eye for more than 2 seconds. And around girls, I was always stiff and awkward. And back then, even if I managed to attract someone, I never had the confidence to ask her out because I was always thinking about hiding my sweat. And honestly, I felt like someone had locked my personality inside a cage. I knew I wasn't boring. I knew I wasn't weak. I knew I wasn't unattractive. But damn this hyperhidrosis. It made me feel like a loser who couldn't be even himself. But now, years later, something changed in me. I am not that guy anymore. I don't hide. I don't avoid life. I genuinely feel confident in my skin. I speak freely. I hold eye contact. I show dominance. I love socializing. And I even came on YouTube to openly talk about hyperhidrosis. And back then, I wouldn't even talk about it to my closest friends. So let me tell you exactly how I rebuilt my confidence from the ground up. The first thing, I stopped letting hyperhidrosis decide the limits of my life. Now, back then, I used to believe that only once my sweating stops, only then I will start living a normal life. But quite frankly, that mindset just ruined the years of my life. Instead, what I started doing, I started small. I started taking baby steps. I started talking for 5 minutes with whom I want. I started going out. I started doing uncomfortable things, even with the sweaty hands. And the more I did, I started realizing that even if someone notices, I'm not gonna die. And quite frankly, about 90% of people don't even notice. Next, I started to treat my hyperhidrosis instead of crying about it. I tried vibes, I tried products, I tried devices. Some worked, some didn't, but I kept on trying. And every time I gained little control over my sweat, it boosted my confidence. You know, when you know you are at least fighting, it changes your mindset. Then I started building other areas of my life: gym, hygiene, grooming, style. I couldn't fully fix my sweating, but I made sure everything else was on point. Doing this, my skin got better, my physique got better, and I started looking more attractive in the ways hyperhidrosis couldn't even touch. Now, you don't have any idea how much confidence you gain when you know you look sharp as fuck. Next, I started working on my mindset because hyperhidrosis destroys your mind more than your body. I forced myself to understand a simple truth that my self worth has nothing to do with moisture. My value as a man is in my intelligence, my strength, my humor, my appearance, and in my discipline, not in how much my hand sweats. Sweat is a physical condition, not a character flaw, not a moral mistake, and not a weakness. Only once you understand that, the shame loses its power. Next, I started reframing the physical feeling of sweat. Back then, whenever my hands got warm or sweaty, I used to think that I was losing control. But now, I started to reframe this as whenever my hands get warm or sweaty, I see this as an activation. My nervous system gets intense because I am a high drive person, because I am a high performance person. Now, in these cases, some people go blank, some people freeze, and I see this as high alert mode. And once I reframed this, I stopped panicking about sweating. One of the things that helped me was stopping the obsession with myself. Whenever I felt my anxiety rising, I started focusing outwards. I started focusing on other person's eyes. I started focusing on their voice. I started focusing on the conversation that I am having with the other person. The more I started focusing on the other person, the less I started to monitor myself. And the less I started to monitor myself, the less sweaty I got. Another change I made was seeing myself as the guy who brings value. Before I would walk into a room thinking about I was the weakest one. Now I walk in thinking about what I bring to the table, my humor, my work ethic, my energy, my ideas, my presence. When you see yourself as a man of value, you stop acting like someone who needs to hide. Over time, I started challenging the thoughts that linked sweat with failure. Whenever my brain told me that they will think you are weak, I replaced that with evidence. I started saying to myself, people have respected me, women have liked me, friends have valued me, work people have trusted me, and not even one person told me you are less because of your sweating. And all of this is just in my head. Next, I started practicing gratitude for the things that hyperhidrosis could never take away from me. Things like my ambition, my voice, you hear that sexy voice, my discipline, my looks, my work ethic, my ability to change. When you start strengthening the other areas of your identity, the condition becomes smaller and smaller. Your physical side matters too. Your posture, your eye contact, your body language. When you stand tall and relaxed, your brain gets a signal that you are relaxed and in control. And hyperhidrosis feeds on fear. Once you stop acting scared, it loses half its power. And the last thing, mind body preparation. When you take real steps like wearing right clothes, using treatments, whatever works for you, your mind relaxes because it knows that the worst outcome is handled. That relief alone reduces sweat. I rebuilt my confidence piece by piece. None of it happened overnight, and every step I took, it made me more stronger. And now I can say with fully honesty, hyperhidrosis doesn't control my life anymore. If you are struggling with confidence right now, I know how deep it goes, but you can break out of it. You can rebuild yourself. You can become powerful. You can become more confident. You can become the version you thought was impossible. And most importantly, you are not alone. Because this isn't just a channel, this is a mission to break the silence around hyperhidrosis. And if you want to join that mission, subscribe. That's it. See you next time.